What's that look for? He was perfectly fine here. We had a good time together.
Mom, his math homework isn't done, his reading log is blank, and you let him watch cartoons for 4 hours straight. We talked about this.
Oh, please, one afternoon won't kill him. You're being way too rigid with that poor child.
Rigid? Rigid? Mom, he has a routine for a reason. He has learning challenges and structure helps him succeed.
You're creating problems where there aren't any. He's just a normal kid who needs to relax sometimes instead of being pushed constantly.
Pushed? Are you kidding me right now? I'm not pushing him, I'm parenting him. Something you apparently forgot how to do constructively.
Don't you dare speak to me that way. I raised 3 children successfully, and none of you turned out this neurotic about every little detail.
Neurotic? Neurotic? Do you have any idea what it's like trying to help a child with ADHD stay on track when everyone around him constantly undermines a system that actually works?
Oh, here we go with the ADHD excuse again. In my day, we called that being a normal, energetic child who needed discipline, not pills and endless therapies.
Excuse? It's not an excuse, it's a medical diagnosis. And I'm killing myself trying to help him succeed while you sabotage every single effort I make.
Sabotage? I'm his grandmother. I'm allowed to spoil him a little without you treating me like some criminal who's destroying your precious parenting plan.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. You think this is about spoiling him, but you're actually making my life a living hell. Do you know what happens when he comes home from your house?
He comes home happy instead of stressed out of his mind from all your rules and the schedules and constant pressure.
Happy? He has complete meltdowns because his routine is destroyed and he can't regulate himself. I spend hours getting him back on track.
That's because you've made him dependent on this ridiculous system instead of teaching him to be flexible and adaptable like normal children.
Normal? Normal? There's nothing abnormal about my son. He just processes the world differently. And instead of supporting that, you act like I'm torturing him by giving him structure.
I never said he was abnormal, but you're turning him into this anxious, overscheduled little robot who can't function unless everything is perfect.
I am trying to help him succeed. Every single strategy I use comes from his teachers, his therapist, his pediatrician, people who actually understand child development.
And I suppose I understand nothing about children after raising 4 of them and helping raise 12 grandchildren?
That's not what I said, but times have changed. We know more now about how children's brains work, especially children with learning differences.
Learning differences, ADHD, sensory processing. You have a label for everything. Sometimes children just need love and attention, not constant analysis.
He gets love and attention, but he also needs consistency. When you let him eat candy for breakfast and skip his homework, you're not showing him love. You're making my job impossible.
Your job as his mother is to make sure he's happy and healthy, not to turn his childhood into boot camp.
This is insane. Asking him to do his homework is not boot camp. Having consistent meal times is not boot camp. You're acting like basic parenting is child abuse.
Basic parenting doesn't involve color-coded schedules and timer apps and behavior charts all over the house.
Those things work. They help him focus, they help him feel secure, they help him succeed in school. But every time he comes here, it's like starting from scratch.
Maybe the problem isn't that I'm disrupting your system. Maybe the problem is that your system is too rigid to survive one afternoon of normalcy.
Normalcy? You call 4 hours of screen time and junk food normalcy? You call ignoring his homework and letting him stay up past his bedtime normalcy?
I call it being a grandmother. I call it giving him a break from the constant pressure and expectations that follow him everywhere else.
The constant pressure? The pressure of being asked to learn to read? The pressure of being asked to turn in his assignments? The pressure of going to bed at a reasonable hour?
The pressure of never being allowed to just be a kid. The pressure of having every moment of his day planned and analyzed and optimized.
I am trying to help him succeed. Every single strategy I use comes from his teachers, his therapist, his pediatrician, people who actually understand child development.
And I suppose I understand nothing about children after raising 4 of them and helping raise 12 grandchildren?
That's not what I said, but times have changed. We know more now about how children's brains work, especially children with learning differences.
Learning differences, ADHD, sensory processing, you have a label for everything. Sometimes children just need love and attention, not constant analysis.
He gets love and attention, but he also needs consistency. When you let him eat candy for breakfast and skip his homework, you're not showing him love. You're making my job impossible.
Your job as his mother is to make sure he's happy and healthy, not to turn his childhood into boot camp.
This is insane. Asking him to do his homework is not boot camp. Having consistent meal times is not boot camp. You're acting like basic parenting is child abuse.
Basic parenting doesn't involve color-coded schedules and timer apps and behavior charts all over the house.
Those things work. They help him focus, they help him feel secure, they help him succeed in school. But every time he comes here, it's like starting from scratch.
Maybe the problem isn't that I'm disrupting your system. Maybe the problem is that your system is too rigid to survive one afternoon of normalcy.
Normalcy? You call 4 hours of screen time and junk food normalcy? You call ignoring his homework and letting him stay up past his bedtime normalcy?
I call it being a grandmother. I call it giving him a break from the constant pressure and expectations that follow him everywhere else.
The constant pressure? The pressure of being asked to learn to read? The pressure of being asked to turn in his assignments? The pressure of going to bed at a reasonable hour?
The pressure of never being allowed to just be a kid. The pressure of having every moment of his day planned and analyzed and optimized.
I am trying to help him succeed. I read something on Instagram about a child development expert who said that children with ADHD actually thrive with clear expectations and routines. It reduces their anxiety and helps them succeed.
Instagram expert, that's what you're basing your parenting on now? What happened to trusting your instincts and common sense?
My instincts tell me to help my son succeed. My instincts tell me to use every tool available to support him, not to pretend his challenges don't exist.
His biggest challenge is having a mother who treats him like he's broken instead of celebrating the amazing, creative, energetic child that he is.
Treats him like he's broken? Are you out of your mind? Everything I do is to help him shine. But he can't shine when his support systems are constantly being torn down.
Support systems. You mean control systems. You've turned that child's life into a series of checklists and appointments and evaluations.
Those evaluations help us understand how to help him. The occupational therapy helps his handwriting, the reading specialist helps with his comprehension, the behavioral strategies help him focus.
And what about helping him have fun? What about helping him build confidence? What about helping him feel loved unconditionally?
He is loved unconditionally, but love doesn't mean ignoring his needs. Love doesn't mean pretending he doesn't struggle with things other kids find easy.
Struggle? The only thing he struggles with is living up to your impossible expectations.
Impossible expectations? Like turning in his homework? Like sitting still during dinner? Like following basic classroom rules? These aren't impossible. They're normal childhood expectations.
For neurotypical children. But you keep forcing him into a neurotypical mold instead of accepting him as he is.
I'm not forcing him into anything. I'm teaching him skills he needs to function in the world. Skills he needs to succeed in school, to have friends, to feel confident about himself.
He's 8 years old. 8! He should be worried about Pokemon cards and playground games, not whether he's meeting his productivity targets.
Productivity targets? Are you insane? I'm talking about basic life skills. I'm talking about helping him develop self-regulation and responsibility.
Self-regulation at 8? Responsibility at 8? Let him be a child. Let him make mistakes. Let him figure things out naturally.
He can't figure things out naturally. That's what ADHD means. His brain works differently. Without structure and support, he fails. He gets frustrated. He feels stupid.
He feels stupid because you're constantly reinforcing that he can't do anything without special help and accommodations and interventions.
That is not true. I celebrate every single victory. I praise every effort. But I also recognize when he needs support and I make sure he gets it.
Support or dependence? Because from where I sit, it looks like you're raising a child who thinks he can't function without constant external management.
From where you sit? From where you sit? Undermining everything I do? From where you sit pretending his challenges don't exist? From where you sit making my life 10 times harder?
I'm not undermining anything. I'm providing balance. I'm showing him that he's capable of being loved and accepted without jumping through hoops.
Jumping through hoops? Doing homework is jumping through hoops? Following basic rules is jumping through hoops? Having a bedtime routine is jumping through hoops?
When those things become more important than his happiness and well-being, yes. When those things become weapons to control and manage him, yes.
They're not weapons. They're tools. Tools to help him succeed. Tools to help him build confidence. Tools to help him navigate a world that isn't designed for children like him.
A world that isn't designed for children like him, or a world that isn't designed for the children like the one you're trying to turn him into? What is that supposed to mean? It means maybe the problem isn't that the world needs to accommodate him. Maybe the problem is that you can't accommodate his natural personality and energy.
I can't believe you just said that. I have spent every waking moment for 8 years learning how to support his natural personality. Every strategy, every accommodation, every modification is designed around who he is.
No, it's designed around who you think he should become. There's a difference.
You have no idea what you're talking about. No idea. Do you know how many books I've read? How many courses I've taken? How many specialists I've consulted?
And has all that expertise made him happier? Has all that professional intervention made your relationship with him stronger? Or has it just made everything more complicated?
It's made his life better. His grades improved, his behavior at school improved, his self-confidence improved. But none of that matters if his own grandmother sabotages it.
Sabotages it by loving him? Sabotages it by treating him like a normal grandchild instead of a case study?
By ignoring his needs. By ignoring that consistency doesn't matter. By acting like structure is the enemy instead of recognizing that it's what helps him thrive.
Maybe he doesn't need to thrive every single moment. Maybe he just needs to be allowed to exist without constant improvement and optimization.
Constant improvement? I'm talking about basic functioning. I'm talking about him being able to complete assignments, make friends, feel good about himself.
And I'm talking about him being allowed to be imperfect, allowed to struggle sometimes, allowed to fail without it becoming a crisis that requires professional intervention.
He's allowed to be imperfect, but he's also entitled to support when he needs it. And he's entitled to have his support systems respected by his family.
His family is not the enemy. I am not the enemy. I'm his grandmother who loves him unconditionally and wants him to experience joy and freedom.
Joy and freedom don't come from chaos. They don't come from inconsistency. They come from feeling secure and supported and understood.
Security and support don't come from rigid schedules and constant monitoring. They come from knowing that you're loved regardless of your performance.
He knows he's loved, but love isn't enough when your child is struggling. Love doesn't magically make ADHD disappear. Love doesn't automatically teach executive functioning skills.
No, but love provides the foundation that makes everything else possible. And right now, that foundation is being eroded by all this focus on management and control.
Management and control? Management and control? I'm talking about helping my child develop the skills he needs to be independent and successful.
Independent? He can't make a decision without checking his schedule. He can't relax without permission. He can't enjoy a spontaneous moment without anxiety.
That's not true. He makes decisions all the time. He has plenty of free time. But yes, he does better when he knows what to expect. That's not anxiety. That's his brain working optimally.
Optimally for your peace of mind, maybe. But what about his peace of mind? What about his natural curiosity and spontaneity?
His natural curiosity is encouraged within appropriate boundaries. His spontaneity is celebrated when it doesn't interfere with his responsibilities.
Responsibilities? He's 8. His only responsibility should be to grow and learn and explore the world with wonder and excitement.
And he does all of those things. But he also learns that actions have consequences, that effort leads to achievement, that he's capable of meeting expectations.
Expectations that you've created, consequences that you've imposed, achievements that you've defined. What about what he wants?
What he wants changes every 5 minutes. What he wants is often things that aren't good for him. That's why children need guidance and structure.
Guidance, yes. Structure, to some extent, but not this level of micromanagement that leaves no room for natural development.
Natural development? His natural development includes executive functioning deficits that make it hard for him to organize his thoughts, manage his time, and control his impulses.
So you control them for him instead of helping him learn to work with his natural rhythms and tendencies.
I am helping him learn. Every strategy we use is designed to eventually become internalized, but that process takes time and consistency.
Consistency that gets destroyed every time someone suggests that maybe, just maybe, your approach isn't perfect.
My approach isn't perfect. I adjust it constantly based on what's working and what's not. But it can't work if it's constantly being undermined.
It's not being undermined. It's being balanced. It's being supplemented with unconditional love and acceptance.
He gets unconditional love and acceptance at home, too. But he also gets the support he needs to develop confidence and competence.
Confidence doesn't come from external validation. It comes from internal satisfaction and self-acceptance.
And self-acceptance comes from experiencing success, from knowing that you can overcome challenges, from developing mastery over your environment.
Mastery over your environment at 8 years old? Do you hear yourself? You're talking about a child like he's a business project.
I'm talking about him like he's a child with specific needs who deserves every opportunity to reach his potential.
His potential according to who? According to standardized tests? According to developmental milestones? According to your vision of who he should become?
According to him, according to his interests, his strengths, his dreams. But those things need to be nurtured and supported, not left to chance.
Some of the most important things in life happen by chance. Some of the most meaningful learning happens through unstructured exploration.
And he gets plenty of unstructured exploration. But he also needs structured learning opportunities to develop skills that don't come naturally.
Skills that might not even be important. Skills that might not match his unique gifts and talents. Basic executive functioning skills are important for everyone. Time management, organization, emotional regulation, these aren't optional in modern society. Modern society is the problem. Modern society has created artificial demands that don't match natural human development patterns. Well, modern society is what we have, and my job is to prepare him for it, not to pretend it doesn't exist. Your job is to protect his authentic self while helping him navigate the world, not to reshape him to fit artificial expectations. I'm not reshaping him. I'm helping him develop tools he can use to express his authentic self more effectively. Tools that come with so many rules and restrictions that his authentic self gets lost in the process. That's not happening. Ask his teachers. They see his personality, his creativity, his humor more than ever because he's not constantly struggling with basic tasks. His teachers who are trained to see children through the lens of compliance and productivity rather than wonder and potential. His teachers who are trained in child development and who see dozens of children every year and who recognize when a child is thriving. Thriving academically, maybe. But what about thriving emotionally? What about thriving spiritually? What about thriving as a whole
human being. He is thriving as a whole human being. He has friends, he enjoys school, he's proud of his accomplishments, he's developing independence. Independence within very narrow parameters that you've established. That's not true independence. True independence comes gradually. It comes from mastering age-appropriate skills and then building on them. It doesn't come from chaos and inconsistency. It comes from trusting yourself and your instincts, from knowing that you're loved regardless of your performance, from feeling secure in your own skin. And he feels all of those things, but he also feels proud when he completes a difficult assignment. He feels confident when he uses coping strategies successfully. He feels proud because you've taught him to seek external validation. He feels confident because he's meeting artificial benchmarks. They're not artificial. They're real skills that help him function in real situations with real people who have real expectations. Real expectations that may not match his real nature. Real people who may not understand or appreciate his unique qualities, which is exactly why he needs to develop strong coping skills and self-advocacy abilities. The world isn't going to change for him. Maybe it should. Maybe instead of changing him to fit the world, we should be working to create a world that celebrates different ways of being. That's a beautiful, idealistic vision. But in the meantime, he has to function in the world that actually exists. The world that actually exists includes grandmothers who love their grandchildren unconditionally and want them to experience joy and freedom. And it also includes schools with homework requirements, social situations with expectations, and future employers who won't accommodate every quirk and preference. So your solution is to start preparing him for heartless employers when he's 8 years old? My solution is to give him tools he can use throughout his life. Tools for managing stress, organizing information, communicating effectively, regulating emotions. Tools that become crutches. Tools that make him dependent on external systems instead of developing internal resilience. They don't become crutches, they become integrated parts of how he navigates the world, like learning to read or ride a bike. Reading and riding bikes are natural skills that enhance human capability. What you're teaching him are artificial constraints that limit natural expression. Natural expression? His natural expression includes impulsive behaviors that get him in trouble and disorganized thinking that makes him feel frustrated. So you eliminate the behaviors instead of helping him understand and channel them constructively? I'm not eliminating anything. I'm helping him develop self-awareness and self-control so he can choose how to express himself. Self-control that looks suspiciously like compliance with your agenda rather than authentic self-management.
Compliance with my agenda? My agenda is helping him succeed. My agenda is protecting him from failure and frustration. My agenda is loving him enough to teach him difficult skills.
And my agenda is loving him enough to accept him exactly as he is, to show him that he doesn't have to earn love through performance.
He doesn't have to earn love through performance, but he does need to develop skills through practice. There's a difference.
The line between those two things gets very blurry when every moment of his life is organized around skill development and improvement.
Not every moment. He has plenty of free time. He plays with friends. He pursues hobbies. He relaxes and has fun.
Within the parameters you've established, following the schedules you've created, using the strategies you've taught him.
Because those things work. Because they help him be more successful in all areas of his life, including play and friendships and creative expression.
Or because you've created a system that requires constant maintenance and management, and he's learned to depend on it.
He's learned to use tools that help him, just like he's learned to use a calculator in math class or a spell check on the computer.
Calculators and spell check are tools you use when you need them. What you've created is a lifestyle that revolves around constant accommodation and intervention.
Because that's what he needs.
That's what children with ADHD need: consistent support and structure and understanding.
What he needs is to know that he's loved unconditionally. What he needs is space to grow and discover himself naturally.
He has both of those things, but he also has targeted support for areas where he struggles. Why is that so threatening to you?
It's not threatening. It's heartbreaking. I'm watching a beautiful, vibrant child disappear under layers of management and control.
He's not disappearing. He's flourishing. He's more confident, more capable, more connected than he's ever been.
More capable of meeting your expectations, more connected to your vision of success. But what about his own dreams and desires?
His dreams and desires are supported and encouraged, but within a framework that helps him actually achieve them instead of just fantasizing about them.
Achievement at 8 years old. Do you realize how insane that sounds? He should be dreaming and fantasizing and exploring possibilities.
He does all of those things, but he also experiences the satisfaction of completing projects, mastering skills, and contributing to his community.
Contributing to his community by conforming to its expectations rather than bringing his unique gifts and perspective.
His unique gifts and perspective are celebrated, but they're also channeled constructively instead of being allowed to create chaos and confusion.
Chaos and confusion are part of childhood. They're part of creativity. They're part of authentic human experience.
And they're also part of ADHD in ways that can be overwhelming and counterproductive. Structure helps him manage those tendencies.
Manage them by suppressing them, by redirecting them, by controlling them instead of celebrating them.
By understanding them, by working with them, by helping him harness them as strengths instead of experiencing them as deficits.
Harness them for what? For your agenda? For society's agenda? For meeting external expectations rather than internal satisfaction?
For his agenda. For helping him become the person he wants to become. For giving him choices and opportunities.
Choices within the narrow range you've determined are appropriate. Opportunities that fit your definition of valuable and worthwhile.
I don't determine what's appropriate. Child development research determines that. Educational best practices determine that. His own responses and progress determine that.
Research that views childhood through the lens of productivity and efficiency rather than joy and discovery.
Research that recognizes the real challenges children face and provides evidence-based solutions. Research that helps children succeed instead of just hoping for the best.
Success according to artificial metrics that may have nothing to do with genuine well-being and happiness.
Genuine well-being includes being able to function effectively in the world. Happiness includes feeling confident and capable.
Confident and capable according to external standards that he's learned to internalize, not confident and capable in his own authentic self.
They're the same thing. When he masters a difficult skill, he feels genuinely proud. When he uses a strategy successfully, he feels authentically confident.
Because you've taught him to tie his self-worth to his performance. Because you've made achievement the pathway to approval. That's not true. He receives approval and love regardless of his performance, but he also receives support to help him perform better. And those two messages get mixed together in a child's mind. Love becomes conditional on improvement, even when you don't intend it. Then what's the alternative? Don't help him develop skills? Don't provide support when he struggles? Just hope everything works out? The alternative is trusting his natural development process, providing support when he asks for it, believing in his inherent wisdom and capability. 8-year-olds don't have inherent wisdom about executive functioning. They don't naturally develop organizational systems. They need guidance. They need unconditional love and acceptance as the foundation for everything else. They need space to make mistakes and learn from them naturally. He has unconditional love. He also has structured opportunities to learn from mistakes in safe, supportive environments. Structured by you, managed by you, interpreted by you. Where's his agency in this process? His agency develops gradually as he masters age-appropriate skills. You can't have agency without competence. You can't have competence without self-trust. And self-trust doesn't develop when every decision is made for you.
Every decision isn't made for him. He makes dozens of choices every day within supportive frameworks.
Supportive frameworks that you've created based on your understanding of what's best for him.
Based on professional recommendations, research evidence, and his own responses to different approaches.
Professional recommendations from people who don't love him the way we do. Research evidence that treats children like experimental subjects.
People who are trained to understand child development. Research that helps millions of families support their children more effectively.
At what cost? At the cost of authentic relationships? At the cost of natural development? At the cost of childhood itself?
Not at any cost. Enhanced relationships, supported development, enriched childhood experiences.
Enhanced according to your definition. Supported according to external standards. Enriched according to professional metrics. According to his improved happiness, confidence, and success in multiple areas of his life. Happiness that depends on meeting expectations. Confidence that depends on external validation. Success that depends on conformity. You're twisting everything I say. His happiness comes from genuine achievement. His confidence comes from real competence. His success comes from authentic growth. Achievement you've defined. Competence you've measured. Growth you've directed. Where's he in all of this? He's everywhere. He's the center of everything. Every decision, every strategy, every modification is designed around his specific needs and personality. His needs as you understand them. His personality as filtered through diagnostic categories and developmental frameworks. His needs as expressed through his behavior, his struggles, his responses to different types of support. His behavior that you interpret. His struggles that you define. His responses that you evaluate. With professional guidance, with evidence-based tools, with careful observation and adjustment. With assumptions about what childhood should look like, with biases about what constitutes healthy development. With love and dedication and commitment to helping him thrive, with willingness to try anything that might help him succeed. Success in a world that may not deserve him, thriving according to standards that may not honor his unique gifts. The world is what it is. My job is to prepare him for it while helping him maintain his authentic self. Your job is to protect his authentic self from a world that wants to diminish it, to show him that he's perfect exactly as he is. He is perfect exactly as he is, and he also deserves every opportunity to develop his full potential. Potential you've defined, opportunities you've selected, development you've planned and managed. In collaboration with him, responsive to his interests, adjusted based on his feedback. Feedback he's learned to give in ways that please you. Interests you've shaped through exposure and encouragement. That's not manipulation, that's parenting, that's guidance. That's how children learn about possibilities. It becomes manipulation when the child's natural preferences get lost in the process, when pleasing the parent becomes more important than authentic self-expression.
He expresses himself authentically all the time. He disagrees with me. He asserts his preferences. He makes independent choices.
Within the boundaries you've established, according to the options you've provided, in ways you've determined are acceptable.
All children need boundaries. All children need guidance. The difference is that he needs more structure and support than neurotypical children.
According to who? According to a society that pathologizes normal childhood energy and curiosity?
According to brain research, according to his own struggles when support isn't provided, according to the relief he shows when effective strategies are implemented.
Relief that might be anxiety about disappointing you. Strategies that might be coping mechanisms for an overly demanding environment.
The environment isn't overly demanding, it's appropriately challenging. It's designed to help him stretch and grow.
Stretch and grow according to external timelines and expectations rather than natural developmental rhythms.
Natural developmental rhythms that include significant challenges for children with ADHD, rhythms that need support and accommodation.
Support and accommodation that gradually become dependence and limitation, that teach him he can't function without external management.
That teach him he has resources available when he needs them. That teach him he's not alone in facing challenges.
Resources that become requirements, support that becomes control, accommodation that becomes prison.
You're being ridiculous. He's not in prison. He's being prepared for freedom. Real freedom that comes from competence and confidence.
Competence in performing tasks that may not matter to him. Confidence in meeting standards that may not reflect his values.
They do matter to him. He's proud when he completes assignments. He's happy when he succeeds in social situations.
Because you've taught him that these things should matter. Because you've connected his self-worth to these achievements.
Because these things genuinely contribute to his well-being. Because success in these areas opens doors to other opportunities.
Opportunities in a system that may not value what makes him special. Doors to a world that may try to suppress his gifts.
His gifts are celebrated and nurtured, but they're also developed through practice and refinement.
Developed according to adult expectations rather than childhood wonder. Refined according to social standards rather than personal vision.
Personal vision develops over time. It's influenced by exposure to possibilities, success experiences, and supportive relationships.
Supportive relationships that accept him unconditionally. Not relationships that constantly try to modify and improve him.
I'm not trying to modify him. I'm trying to give him tools that help him express who he is more effectively.
Tools that come with instructions. Instructions that limit natural expression. Instructions that prioritize compliance over creativity.
They prioritize success over failure. They prioritize confidence over frustration. They prioritize connection over isolation.
Success defined by others. Confidence based on performance. Connection contingent on meeting expectations.
Oh my God, you are impossible. Nothing I do is ever right in your eyes. Nothing. No matter how much research I do, how much I sacrifice, how hard I work.
I never said nothing you do is right. But I am saying that maybe, just maybe, you're trying too hard. Maybe you're overcorrecting.
Overcorrecting from what? From neglect? From ignorance? From pretending problems don't exist?
Overcorrecting from the fear that he won't be accepted, from the terror that he'll struggle, from your own anxiety about his future.
Of course I'm anxious about his future. Of course I'm afraid he'll struggle. That's what motivates me to help him now.
But your anxiety is driving decisions that might not be in his best interest. Your fear is creating problems that might not otherwise exist.
What problems? Better grades, improved social skills, increased self-confidence? Those are problems to you?
When they come at the cost of spontaneity, creativity, and authentic self-expression, yes. When they require constant adult intervention, yes.
They don't require constant intervention, they require consistent support. There's a difference.
Consistent support that looks suspiciously like constant management from where I'm sitting.
Because you refuse to understand what ADHD actually means. You refuse to acknowledge that his brain works differently.
I acknowledge that his brain is beautiful and unique. I refuse to accept that it needs constant correction and accommodation.
It's not correction, it's support. It's like wearing glasses when you need them. It's like using a ramp when you use a wheelchair.
Glasses help you see better. Ramps provide access. What you're doing is more like putting him in a straitjacket to prevent natural movement.
That is the most offensive thing you've ever said. How dare you compare helping my child succeed to restraining him?
How dare you turn every expression of concern into an attack on your parenting? I'm trying to protect his childhood.
Protect it from what? From learning, from growing, from developing skills he'll need for the rest of his life?
Protect it from being medicalized and pathologized and turned into a series of interventions and accommodations.
You know what? Fine. Next time you babysit him, you deal with the meltdown when his homework isn't done. You deal with the teacher conferences. You deal with the social rejection.
There wouldn't be meltdowns if you didn't create such rigid expectations. There wouldn't be social rejection if you didn't make him so anxious about performance.
There would be worse problems. There would be academic failure. There would be damaged self-esteem. There would be missed opportunities.
Opportunities to be a normal child, opportunities to discover his own interests, opportunities to develop natural confidence.
Natural confidence? You think confidence comes naturally? You think social skills develop automatically? You think academic success happens by magic?
I think they develop through love and acceptance and organic experience, not through systematic intervention and behavioral modification.
Love and acceptance aren't enough when your child is drowning, when he can't keep up with his peers, when he feels stupid and different.
He feels stupid and different because you've taught him that he needs special help, because you've made his challenges the center of his identity.
I've made his strengths the center of his identity. I've helped him understand that everyone learns differently.
By constantly emphasizing his differences, by constantly providing accommodations, by constantly intervening in natural processes.
By leveling the playing field, by giving him the same opportunities other children have naturally.
Other children don't have naturally. They have because their parents aren't anxiously micromanaging every aspect of their development.
Other children don't have ADHD. Other children don't struggle with executive functioning. Other children don't need the same level of support.
Maybe more children have ADHD-like qualities than we think. Maybe the problem isn't the children. Maybe the problem is our expectations.
So your solution is to lower expectations, to accept mediocrity, to let him fail when we could help him succeed?
My solution is to raise him with unconditional love and trust in his inherent wisdom, to let him find his own path.
His own path might lead to dropping out of school. His own path might lead to social isolation. His own path might lead to lifelong struggles.
Or his own path might lead to incredible creativity, innovative thinking, authentic self-expression, genuine happiness.
Those aren't mutually exclusive with academic success and social competence. He can have both.
Not if the academic success and social competence come at the cost of his authentic self. Not if they require constant external management.
They don't require constant external management. They require learned skills that become internalized over time. Learned from whom? Internalized according to whose standards? Developed to meet whose expectations? Developed to meet life's expectations, society's expectations, the expectations of future employers and romantic partners and friends. Future employers who might value his creativity over his compliance. Romantic partners who might love his spontaneity. Friends who appreciate his authenticity. And who will also expect him to be reliable, organized, and capable of meeting commitments. Skills don't limit authenticity, they enable it.
When they're chosen by the person themselves, when they're developed organically, when they're integrated naturally into personality.
How does an 8-year-old choose executive functioning skills organically? How does he naturally integrate time management strategies?
By experiencing natural consequences, by learning from mistakes, by developing internal motivation rather than external compliance.
Natural consequences for ADHD can be devastating. Academic failure, social rejection, damaged self-esteem? Why would I let that happen?
Because resilience comes from overcoming real challenges. Because confidence comes from internal solutions. Because authenticity requires struggle.
Resilience comes from having support during struggles. Confidence comes from experiencing success. Authenticity is preserved through understanding and accommodation.
Support that doesn't create dependence, success that doesn't require constant intervention, understanding that doesn't pathologize natural variation.
I give up. I absolutely give up. You're determined to see everything I do as harmful, everything I sacrifice as meaningless, everything I achieve as destructive.
I'm not trying to attack you. I'm trying to protect him. I'm trying to preserve what makes him special before it gets lost in all this management.
What makes him special is being celebrated and nurtured. What makes him struggle is being addressed and supported. How is that harmful?
Because the line between nurturing and controlling gets blurred. Because addressing struggles can become creating dependence. Because support can become a prison.
A prison? A prison? Having tools and strategies and people who understand you is a prison?
When those tools become requirements, when those strategies become rigid rules, when understanding becomes constant monitoring.
You know what the real prison is? The prison of untreated ADHD. The prison of constant failure. The prison of feeling different and broken.
He's not broken. He's not broken. He's perfect exactly as he is. Different doesn't mean deficient.
I never said he was broken. I said he has challenges that deserve support. I said he has a brain that works differently and needs different approaches.
Approaches that change who he is? Approaches that suppress his natural tendencies? Approaches that prioritize conformity over authenticity?
They don't suppress anything. They help him express himself more effectively. They help him share his gifts with the world.
Share them according to acceptable formats? Express them through approved channels? Gift wrap them in socially appropriate behaviors?
Gift wrap them in functional behaviors that help him connect with others and achieve his goals.
Goals you've helped him identify, connections you've facilitated, functions you've defined as important and valuable.
Goals that emerge from his interests and abilities, connections that develop naturally when barriers are removed, functions that serve his needs.
His needs as interpreted through professional frameworks, his interests as channeled through structured activities, his abilities as measured by standardized assessments.
His needs as observed through loving attention to his daily experiences, his interest as he expresses them, his abilities as they manifest in real situations.
Real situations you've arranged, daily experiences you've managed, expressions you've interpreted and responded to.
Of course I've responded. That's what parents do. We observe our children and respond to their needs.
But your responses are shaped by anxiety about his future, by fear that he won't be accepted, by determination to fix what might not be broken.
My responses are shaped by love, by commitment, by willingness to do whatever it takes to help him thrive.
Whatever it takes according to expert advice. Thriving according to developmental metrics. Love expressed through constant intervention.
Love expressed through sacrifice, through learning, through advocating for his needs even when it's difficult.
Sacrifice of his natural development, learning about disorders rather than about him, advocating for accommodations rather than acceptance. You're twisting everything, making everything sound sinister and manipulative when it's actually loving and supportive. I'm not trying to make anything sound sinister. I'm trying to point out unintended consequences, patterns that might be harmful even with good intentions. The only harmful pattern I see is a grandmother who undermines everything I'm trying to do, who sends mixed messages about expectations and standards. Mixed messages about unconditional love, mixed messages about acceptance, mixed messages about the value of childhood itself.
There's nothing mixed about my message. I love him unconditionally, and I want to help him succeed. Those aren't contradictory.
They become contradictory when success becomes the pathway to approval, when love gets tangled up with performance.
Love doesn't get tangled up in performance. Love motivates me to help him perform better, to remove barriers to his success.
Barriers that might be opportunities for growth, challenges that might build character, struggles that might develop resilience.
Or barriers that might destroy confidence, challenges that might create trauma, struggles that might lead to giving up entirely.
If he's supported with unconditional love and acceptance, if he knows he's valued regardless of outcomes, if he's trusted to find his own solutions.
Unconditional love doesn't magically create organizational skills. Acceptance doesn't automatically teach emotional regulation. Trust doesn't spontaneously develop executive functioning.
No, but they create the foundation for authentic development, for internal motivation, for genuine self-confidence.
Which is exactly what I'm trying to build. Through success experiences, through skill development, through supported challenges.
Through external scaffolding that may become permanent dependence. Through managed experiences that may not transfer to real life.
Through temporary supports that gradually fade as skills develop. Through practice strategies that become automatic responses.
Automatic responses to whose cues? Developed according to whose timeline? Faded according to whose judgment?
According to his developmental progress. According to his increasing independence. According to his own mastery.
His mastery of skills you've deemed important. His independence within boundaries you've established. His progress toward goals you've helped set.
Goals we've set together. Boundaries that keep him safe while he's learning. Skills that he needs to function effectively.
Function effectively in a world that may not deserve his unique gifts, that may try to diminish what makes him special.
The world is full of people with ADHD who are thriving, who are successful, who are using their gifts and their learned skills.
Successful according to conventional metrics, thriving within acceptable parameters, using gifts that have been channeled and managed.
Successful according to their own definitions, thriving in ways that bring them joy and fulfillment, using gifts that have been developed and refined.
Developed according to social expectations, refined according to professional recommendations, joy and fulfillment measured by external standards.
You know what? I can't do this anymore. I can't keep defending every single thing I do for my child. I can't keep justifying love and support and advocacy.
You don't have to defend anything. I'm not attacking you. I'm just asking you to consider that maybe there's value in accepting him exactly as he is.
I do accept him exactly as he is. That's why I'm working so hard to help him succeed. Because I see his potential and I want the world to see it too.
The world might see it better if it wasn't wrapped in so much management and accommodation, if it was allowed to shine naturally.
It can't shine naturally when he's constantly struggling, when he's failing in school, when he's rejected by peers, when he feels stupid and different.
He feels stupid and different because the focus is constantly on what he can't do, on what needs to be fixed, on what requires intervention.
The focus is on what he can do, on his strengths, on his progress, on his achievements.
Achievements in areas that matter to you, goals that emerge from your interests, strengths that are naturally his.
Filtered through your understanding,
shaped by your responses, developed through your interventions.
Guided by my love, supported by my commitment, enhanced by my willingness to learn and grow as a parent.
Love that might be expressed more effectively through trust. Commitment that might be better shown through acceptance. Growth that might include questioning expert advice.
I question expert advice constantly. I adapt it to his specific needs. I reject approaches that don't work for him.
You adapt it within acceptable parameters. You reject approaches that don't fit the diagnostic framework. You modify strategies rather than questioning the underlying assumptions.
What underlying assumptions? That children with ADHD benefit from structure? That executive functioning skills can be taught? That early intervention improves outcomes?
Those aren't assumptions. They're research findings, evidence-based conclusions, clinical best practices.
Research conducted within a framework that pathologizes normal childhood variation. Evidence interpreted through the lens of deficit and disorder.
Normal childhood doesn't include the level of struggles he was having, the frustration, the academic difficulties, the social challenges. Struggles that might have resolved naturally with time and maturity. Frustration that might have motivated internal solutions. Challenges that might have built resilience. Or struggles that might have escalated into bigger problems. Frustration that might have led to giving up. Challenges that might have created lasting damage. We'll never know, will we?
Because you jumped in with interventions before allowing natural processes to unfold.
Because I wasn't willing to gamble with my child's well-being. Because I wanted to prevent problems rather than wait for disasters.
Prevent problems that might not have occurred. Create solutions for challenges that might have resolved themselves. Intervene in processes that might have led to authentic growth. And if I had waited and he had failed, if I had trusted natural processes and he had been damaged by them, how would I live with that? The same way parents have lived with uncertainty for thousands of years, with trust in their children's resilience, with faith in natural development.
Natural development that includes wide variation in timeline and approach, that sometimes needs support and guidance, that benefits from understanding and accommodation.
Support and guidance from people who love him unconditionally. Understanding of his unique temperament. Accommodation of his natural rhythms.
Which is exactly what I'm providing. Professional guidance informed by unconditional love. Scientific understanding applied with infinite patience.
Scientific understanding that might miss essential truths about childhood. Professional guidance that might override parental instincts. Infinite patience directed toward conformity. Infinite patience directed toward his happiness and success. Parental instincts informed by knowledge and experience. Childhood enhanced through understanding and support. His happiness according to your definition. His success measured by external standards. His childhood structured according to adult anxieties.
Stop it! Just stop! You're making me sound like a monster when I'm trying to be the best mother I can be.
You're not a monster. You're a loving mother who might be trying too hard, who might be letting fear drive decisions that should be driven by trust.
Trust in what? Trust in magical thinking? Trust in outdated approaches? Trust in crossing my fingers and hoping for the best?
Trust in him. Trust in his inherent wisdom. Trust in the natural processes that have guided human development for millennia.
Human development that included high rates of failure, social rejection, limited opportunities. Why would I want that for him?
Not failure and rejection, different definitions of success, alternative pathways to fulfillment, authentic self-expression valued over conformity.
I want authentic self-expression too, but I also want him to have choices, options, the ability to succeed in multiple environments.
Choices within predetermined categories, options you've researched and approved. Success defined by conventional standards.
Success defined by his own satisfaction, options that emerge from his interests and abilities, choices that are real and meaningful.
Real and meaningful within the framework you've established. Satisfying according to values you've transmitted. Emerging from interests you've cultivated.
I give up. I honestly give up. Nothing I do will ever be right in your eyes. Nothing I sacrifice will ever be enough. Nothing I achieve will ever be valued.
I value everything you do. I just wish you could see him through my eyes sometimes. See the perfect child who doesn't need fixing.
He doesn't need fixing. He needs support. He needs understanding. He needs tools. Why can't you see the difference? Because the line between support and control gets blurred. Because understanding can become pathologizing. Because tools can become crutches.
And because grandmothers can become obstacles, because good intentions can create confusion, because love can be expressed in destructive ways.
My love isn't destructive. My love is protective. I'm trying to preserve his childhood before it disappears under all this management.
His childhood isn't disappearing, it's being enhanced. It's being supported, it's being made more successful and satisfying.
More successful according to adult standards, more satisfying according to professional metrics, enhanced according to developmental theories.
According to his improved mood, his increased confidence, his better relationships, his academic progress.
Improvements you've measured, confidence you've built through external validation, relationships you've facilitated, progress toward goals you've established. You know what? Fine. You win. I'm a terrible mother who's destroying my child through love and support and professional guidance. Is that what you want to hear? That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear that you'll consider backing off a little, trusting him a little more, accepting him a little deeper. I trust him completely. I accept him absolutely. But I also recognize that trust and acceptance include providing support when it's needed. Support he asks for. Support that emerges from his own recognition of needs. Support that enhances rather than replace natural development. 8-year-olds don't naturally recognize executive functioning deficits. They don't spontaneously ask for organizational support. They need guidance. They need unconditional love as the foundation for everything else. They need space to develop at their own pace. They need trust in their inherent wisdom. And they need parents who take responsibility for helping them succeed, who don't just hope for the best, who actually do something when they see struggles. Do something that trusts the child's capacity for growth, something that supports without controlling, something that helps without creating dependence.
Everything I do is designed to build independence. Every strategy is meant to be internalized. Every support is intended to fade over time.
According to your timeline, internalized according to your standards, faded when you determine readiness.
According to his developmental progress, internalized through practice and success, faded as competence increases.
Competence in skills you've prioritized, progress toward goals you've helped establish, success measured by metrics you've accepted.
I'm done. I'm absolutely done with this conversation. You're determined to make everything I do sound harmful, and I can't defend myself anymore.
I'm not trying to make anything sound harmful. I'm trying to express love for my grandson in a different way, a way that trusts his essential goodness.
I trust his essential goodness, too. That's exactly why I work so hard to help him express it effectively.
Express it through approved channels, in acceptable ways, according to social expectations rather than authentic impulses?
According to his own growing understanding of how to share his gifts with the world, how to connect with others, how to achieve his dreams.
Dreams that may change, understanding that may deepen, gifts that may manifest in unexpected ways if given space to emerge naturally.
Space within supportive frameworks, dreams pursued with appropriate tools, understanding developed through guided experience.
guided by love and trust rather than fear and control, supported through acceptance rather than constant intervention.
My interventions are love. My guidance is trust. My support is acceptance of who he is and what he needs.
What he needs according to diagnostic categories, who he is as filtered through professional frameworks, love expressed through management strategies.
Love expressed through sacrifice, through learning, through advocacy, through doing whatever it takes to help him thrive.
Whatever it takes according to expert recommendations, thriving according to developmental milestones, help that may become hindrance.
You know what the real hindrance is? Having a grandmother who questions every decision, who undermines every strategy, who sends contradictory messages.
Messages about unconditional love, about acceptance, about trust in his natural wisdom and resilience.
And messages that contradict everything I'm trying to teach him, that make him confused about expectations, that undermine his progress.
Progress toward conformity, expectations based on adult anxiety, teaching that may override natural learning.
Teaching that helps him succeed, expectations that are reasonable and age-appropriate, progress toward happiness and fulfillment.
Happiness defined by achievement. Fulfillment measured by external validation. Success that requires constant maintenance.
Success that builds on itself. Validation that becomes internalized. Achievement that creates genuine satisfaction.
Satisfaction with meeting standards rather than expressing authenticity. Internalized according to adult definitions. Building toward goals that may not match his true nature.
His true nature includes needing support and structure. His authentic self benefits from understanding and accommodation.
Understanding that accepts rather than analyzes. Support that trusts rather than manages. Structure that emerges naturally rather than being imposed.
I can't keep doing this. We're going in circles. You're never going to understand, and I'm never going to convince you.
I understand that you love him. I understand that you're trying to help. I just wish you could trust him a little more.
I trust him completely, but I also trust my responsibility as his mother to provide him with every advantage possible.
Every advantage according to current thinking, possible within conventional frameworks, provided through professional channels.
Provided through love, through commitment, through willingness to put his needs before my own comfort.
His needs as interpreted by others. Love expressed through anxiety, commitment to fixing what might not be broken.
Look, we clearly see this differently. Can we at least agree that we both love him and want what's best for him?
Of course we can agree on that. I just hope that what's best for him includes space to be himself without constant improvement projects.
And I hope that what's best for him includes the support he needs to succeed in the world as it actually exists. Maybe we can find a middle ground.
Maybe we can support him and trust him. Maybe we can provide structure and allow flexibility.
I've been trying to find that balance all along, but it's hard when I feel like everything I do is being criticized and undermined.
I'm not trying to criticize you. I'm trying to protect something precious about childhood that seems to be disappearing.
I'm trying to protect something precious too, his future opportunities and his sense of competence and belonging.
Can we protect both? Can we honor his present self while also preparing him for the future?
I think we can, but it requires us working together instead of against each other. It requires consistent messages and expectations.
And it requires trusting that love and acceptance can coexist with support and guidance.
Maybe we need to talk about what that looks like practically. How we can both support him in ways that feel right to each of us.
I'd like that. I'd like to understand your approach better, and I'd like you to understand my concerns.
I do understand your concerns. I share them, actually. I worry about overmanaging him too. I worry about creating dependence.
And I worry about under-supporting him. I worry about him struggling when simple strategies could help.
So maybe we can check in with each other more. Maybe we can adjust our approaches based on how he's responding.
Maybe we can remember that we're both on the same team. We both want him to be happy and successful and authentic.
Success and authenticity don't have to be opposites. Structure and spontaneity can coexist. Support and independence can develop together. Can you help me understand which strategies are most important to maintain? Which ones have the biggest impact on his well-being? And can you help me understand how to provide those supports in ways that feel natural and loving, rather than clinical and controlling?
I think we can do this. I think we can find a way to honor both his present self and his future needs.
I hope so, because I can't imagine doing this without your support, and he needs both of us in his life.
He does need both of us. And maybe he needs us to model how people who love someone can disagree about methods while agreeing about goals.
Maybe our different perspectives can actually help him more than either one alone. Maybe he needs both structure and freedom,
Both challenge and acceptance. Both support and independence. Both guidance and discovery.
It's not going to be easy finding that balance, but it's worth trying for his sake.
For his sake and for ours. Because this relationship, all of our relationships, matter too much to let disagreements destroy them.
So what do we do now? How do we move forward from here?
We start small. We communicate more. We check our assumptions. We stay flexible. We trust the process.
And we remember that we're both learning. Neither of us has all the answers. We're figuring this out together.
Together. For him. And for the family we want to be.
I love you, Mom, even when we disagree, especially when we disagree because that means we both care enough to fight for what we think is right.
I love you too, sweetheart. And I'm proud of the mother you are. Even when I worry about the methods you choose.
Can we agree to keep caulking? To keep questioning? To keep adjusting our approach based on who he's becoming? We can agree to that.
And we can agree to trust that love will guide us, even when we're not sure about the specifics.
Love will guide us. And hopefully, we'll guide him toward becoming everything he's meant to be.
Everything he already is, and everything he's becoming, with our support, and in his own perfect timing.
In his own perfect timing. I like that. It takes some of the pressure off, doesn't it?
It does. And maybe that's exactly what all of us need. A little less pressure and a little more faith in the process.
Faith in the process. Faith in him. Faith in us. Faith in love being enough, even when we don't know exactly how to express it. Even when we express it differently.
Even when we disagree about methods. Even when we're learning as we go.
Especially then, because that's when love matters most, when it's complicated and uncertain, and requires us to grow beyond our comfort zones.
Beyond our comfort zones, but not beyond our capacity to care. Not beyond our commitment to his well-being.
Never beyond that. No matter how much we disagree about approaches, we'll never disagree about how much he matters.
He matters more than being right. He matters more than our egos. He matters more than our fears about the future.
And maybe that's the most important thing we can teach him, that he matters, just as he is, while also becoming everything he's capable of being.
Just as he is, and as he's becoming. Both. Always both.
Always both. I can live with that kind of complexity.
So can I. For him, I can live with not having all the answers.
As long as we keep asking the questions. As long as we keep caring enough to wrestle with these challenges together.
Together. That's the key, isn't it? Not having the perfect approach, but having the commitment to figure it out together.
Together, with love, with patience, with willingness to be wrong sometimes, and with absolute certainty that he's worth every effort we make.
Every effort, every conversation, every moment of doubt and discovery. He's worth all of it.
All of it. And so is our relationship. So is this family we're creating together.
A family that can hold different perspectives. A family that can grow and change. A family that can love fiercely even when we don't agree.
Especially when we don't agree. Because that's when love becomes a choice, not just a feeling.
A choice we make every day. For him, for each other, for the future we're building together.
The future we're building. One conversation, one decision, one moment of love at a time.